Ladies and gentlemen, champions in the making. Let me ask you something. Are you grinding for attention or are you building for legacy? Because here's the truth. The loudest one in the room is rarely the one doing the most. In a world that's addicted to attention, clout, and noise, those who truly rise, those who make history, those who change the game, they work hard in silence and they let the results make the noise. In today's world of social media, constant updates, and digital applause, many people have confused noise with progress. They believe that if they talk about their goals enough, somehow they'll manifest into reality. But the truth is, noise doesn't build results. Discipline does. All the declarations, tweets, stories, and hashtags in the world won't substitute for the quiet, gritty, focused work that actually moves the needle. When you're really working, when you're really in the trenches, refining your craft, sweating the small stuff, sacrificing the parties, the sleep, the comfort, there's little time for noise. And that's a good thing. Because while the crowd is performing for attention, the disciplined are preparing for excellence. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. It means showing up again and again without needing an audience or applause. It's the relentless habit of execution when nobody's watching, when no one is cheering you on, when no one even knows what you're up to. That's where real success is born, not in the noise of public announcements, but in the silent grind of consistency. Success isn't some magical force that rewards declarations. It's a system that responds to structure, to habits, to action. You don't get fit by announcing that you're joining the gym. You get fit by showing up every morning, lifting the weights, pushing through soreness, skipping the junk food, and staying consistent. You don't build a business by talking about being a CEO. You build it by understanding your customer, solving real problems, managing your time, and failing forward. You don't become great at your craft by telling the world you're talented. You become great by putting in thousands of hours when nobody is watching, when the lights are off, and the stakes feel low. The danger with noise is that it creates a false sense of progress. Every time you tell the world what you're going to do, you get a little dopamine hit. People react, comment, like your ambition, and in that moment you feel productive. But you haven't actually done anything yet. You've shared a dream, not built it. And slowly, if you're not careful, you start feeding on attention instead of achievement. You start planning content instead of creating value. You start living for the likes instead of living for the legacy. Let's consider a short, powerful example to illustrate this. Imagine two young entrepreneurs, Sarah and Mike. Both have a vision to launch a new tech product. Sarah is constantly posting on social media, updating people on her grind, talking about her startup journey, sharing behind-the-scenes clips, motivational quotes, and progress bars. Everyone knows what Sarah is working on. She's becoming known even before the product exists. Mike, on the other hand, stays quiet. He barely posts anything. He's in the lab, working 14-hour days, meeting with developers, testing ideas, refining the product, studying the market, and fixing flaws no one will ever know about. He doesn't talk about what he's building, he just builds. 6 months later, Sarah's momentum fizzles out. The product still hasn't launched. The hype faded, and the pressure of public expectation became too much. She got stuck trying to look successful. Meanwhile, Mike launches his product out of nowhere. It's polished, it works, it solves a real problem, and suddenly everyone's talking about him, not because he hyped it up, but because the results made the noise. His silence wasn't weakness, it was focus. This story is more common than you think. People who understand the power of discipline know that silence is a secret weapon. When you're not constantly explaining yourself, you're conserving energy. When you're not seeking approval at every step, you're staying grounded. When you're not distracted by validation, you're getting sharper, clearer, and more effective. Working hard in silence builds a different kind of strength, a deep internal resilience that doesn't need to be fueled by applause. You become self-portered. You learn to trust your own grind. And when the time comes to present your results, they carry weight. Why? Because they weren't crafted in the shallow waters of attention. They were forged in the deep fires of discipline. The spotlight can never replace the sweat. And noise will never outlast results. The people who win in the long run are not those who shout the loudest, but those who work the hardest, longest, and quietest until their success becomes too loud to ignore. So if you're in the middle of your grind and it feels like no one sees you, no one understands the effort, no one's clapping, good. That's where you want to be. Because silence is where the roots grow deep. It's where your character is developed. It's where your endurance is tested. And when the harvest comes, when the results bloom, they will speak louder than your words ever could. Let the others talk. Let them announce. You stay focused. You stay disciplined. Because in the end, it's not the noise that wins. It's the work. Or would you like me to expand this into a full speech or develop more examples? In the pursuit of any dream, one of the most overlooked principles of success is learning to protect your energy by guarding your process. We live in a world that encourages exposure, where it feels almost mandatory to share every step, every thought, every goal, every move. But dreams are not built in public forums. They are built in private battles. When you expose the process too early, you invite distractions, unnecessary opinions, and even doubt that doesn't belong to you. And if you're not careful, the very energy you need to build your vision gets scattered trying to defend it. There is a sacredness in the process of becoming. Every vision has a fragile beginning. It starts as a whisper in your spirit, a quiet nudge, an idea that stirs something inside of you. And in that early stage, it doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't need applause or permission. It needs focus, dedication, and the kind of fierce solitude that allows ideas to grow roots before they grow branches. Because the moment you start announcing your steps prematurely, you shift from being the builder to being the broadcaster. And every time you talk instead of execute, you weaken momentum. Why? Because talk can become a substitute for action. Talking makes you feel like you've done something. People react, they engage, they compliment, you feel seen, you feel affirmed. But your dream hasn't moved an inch. The work remains untouched. You've used your energy explaining your plan instead of fueling it. And worse, you open yourself up to the noise of others, people who don't carry your vision, don't understand your calling, and don't have your level of commitment. Their opinions begin to infiltrate your process, creating doubt where there was once confidence, and distraction where there was once clarity. Sometimes we think we're sharing for support, but what we're really doing is looking for validation. And validation is dangerous when it becomes your fuel. Because when the validation fades, which it always does, you're left empty, needing more. But if your drive comes from within, from a clear and protected sense of purpose, you don't need the world to clap. You need only to stay on course. The silence becomes your shield, your sanctuary. It's not hiding, it's preserving your power. Take a moment to think of a seed. A seed doesn't grow by being shown to the world. You don't keep digging it up to show your friends. You plant it deep, you water it, you protect it from the elements, and you let it grow underground. It doesn't look impressive. It doesn't attract attention, but in time, that seed becomes something undeniable, a tree that can't be ignored. That's exactly how your dream should be treated. Guard it, nurture it, build it in the quiet until it's strong enough to withstand. Let's consider a short but excellent example to illustrate this principle. Imagine a young man named Daniel. He's passionate about music and dreams of launching his own recording label. He's talented, driven, and full of big ideas. His friends are always posting their progress online, snippets of songs, studio shots, shout-outs, and hashtags. Daniel, however, chooses a different path. He doesn't post anything. He doesn't talk about his big goals or make announcements. Instead, he disappears for months. During that time, while others are feeding their followers, Daniel is feeding his vision. He's learning the business side of music. He's building relationships behind the scenes. He's investing in equipment, writing constantly, and recording at odd hours. No one sees it, no one applauds it. In fact, some even assume he gave up. But Daniel is guarding his process like a warrior. He knows that premature exposure can kill momentum. He knows that the wrong people will talk him out of a calling they were never meant to understand. Then, one day, seemingly out of nowhere, Daniel drops his first project. It's polished, powerful, and professional. He doesn't just release a song, he unveils a fully formed brand, a clear sound, and a loyal fan base he built in silence. And suddenly, everyone's paying attention. Not because he demanded it, but because he earned it. His silence created curiosity, and his results delivered impact. That's what happens when you protect your energy. When you stop sharing your process too soon, you preserve the fire inside you. You give yourself room to stumble without judgment, space to grow without interruption, and the freedom to build without distraction. The more sacred you keep your grind, the more powerful your results will be. It's important to understand that you don't owe anyone access to your vision while it's under construction. Not everyone who claps for you is rooting for you. Some just want a front row seat to your struggle. Others want to offer opinions they have no business giving. And some, without malice, simply don't understand what you're trying to create. That's okay. That's why you protect the process, because your vision doesn't need votes. It needs commitment. It needs clarity. It needs execution. But there is a certain discipline that comes with keeping things to yourself. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. It's knowing that when the time is right, the world will see what you've been building, not because you told them, but because your results demand attention. Build quietly, deliver loudly. That is the rhythm of sustainable success. Because once your work is undeniable, it speaks for itself. And when it speaks, the silence that preceded it will only add to the power of its arrival. So if you're in a season where you feel like no one sees the work you're doing, good. Let that be your edge. Let that be your protection. Let the silence strengthen your steps. Every hour you spend in quiet work is a deposit into your future success. Guard your process like treasure. Keep your energy aimed at execution. And when it's time, let your results introduce you to the world in a voice far louder than any announcement you could have made. Because when you work hard in silence, you don't just protect your energy, you multiply it. You said, when we start a journey toward a goal, it's natural to want recognition and validation. It's human to seek acknowledgement for the work we're putting in, especially when we are giving our best efforts and facing challenges along the way. But the truth is, the best things in life, whether it's personal growth, success in business, or mastery in any skill, don't need to scream for attention. The results, when they are real, speak for themselves. Fruit will speak for you. This concept can be better understood when we think about the process of planting a seed. A seed does not beg for attention as it is buried in the soil. It doesn't push to be seen. It doesn't scream, "Look at me." In fact, the seed is quiet, hidden away, focused solely on its growth. The only thing it does is work silently, breaking through the dirt and growing toward the light. Over time, the small sprout becomes a tree, and eventually it bears fruit. Fruit that doesn't need to explain itself. It's there for everyone to see, to taste, and to recognize its value. It didn't shout its potential. It simply grew and produced results. And the same applies to any long-term goal or ambition. When you're working towards something significant, you don't need to constantly announce your progress or seek validation at every step. What you need is patience, focus, and the discipline to stay committed. Because just like the seed, your work will eventually bear fruit, and that fruit will be undeniable. It will make all the noise you need, and it will speak volumes about your dedication, ability, and growth. Results, once they reach a certain level, cannot be ignored. They are self-explanatory. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't celebrate your wins or share milestones with others. It just means that your attention should be on the work itself, not on the applause. Too many people get distracted by the need for immediate recognition. They are constantly talking about what they're going to do, how hard they're working, or what they will achieve, but they don't have the patience to allow their efforts to mature and bear fruit. They are waiting for validation at every stage of the process. And in doing so, they lose sight of the most important thing, the growth itself. The reality is, if you focus too much on the applause, you might lose the motivation to work long enough to achieve anything worth applauding in the first place. When your focus is on the process, on putting in the work every day, on consistently improving and growing, you will eventually find that your results will speak louder than any words you could say. And when the time is right, when the world sees the fruit of your labor, it will be clear to everyone that your success was earned, not manufactured for social media or temporary validation. An excellent example of this is the story of J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. Before the world knew her name or her books, Rowling was a struggling writer. She had been rejected by numerous publishers. Her personal life was in turmoil, and yet she continued to work on her manuscript. She didn't announce to the world that she was writing a book that would change the literary world. She didn't publicize her process or seek validation from others. She kept working in silence, writing the stories that she believed in. Rowling didn't wait for applause. She simply focused on what she was creating. Eventually, after many years of hard work, her first book was published. The results spoke for themselves. The Harry Potter series became a global phenomenon. The world wasn't interested in her journey until the fruit of her labor was ripe and ready to be picked. Her books didn't need to beg for attention. They received it because they were exceptional. Her fruit, which took years to grow, ultimately made a powerful statement about her talent, persistence, and ability to create something that resonated with millions of people. This is a crucial lesson for anyone who is working toward a significant goal. Your journey might not be recognized in the early stages. People may not see the hours of effort, the sacrifices, and the discipline it takes to create something meaningful. But that's okay. Don't let the lack of applause deter you. Keep your focus on the process. Keep your attention on improving, learning, and growing, so your fruit will come, and when it does, it will speak louder than any words or promises you could have made along the way. Remember, results talk. Numbers talk. Impact talks. The work you put in, when it's real and focused, will eventually bear fruit that cannot be ignored. When your efforts are truly valuable, people will see the results. You won't need to explain yourself. Your success will do all the talking for you. In the end, it's not about how many times you tell people about your goals or how many people like your progress posts. What matters is whether you're willing to put in the work quietly, consistently, and with purpose. The process is where true growth happens. And when the time comes for your results to be recognized, they will speak for themselves. Just like the fruit of a tree that has quietly grown and matured in the background, waiting for the world to appreciate its worth. When we begin working toward a goal, especially a big one, there's often a rush to share our progress with the world. It's tempting to announce every small win, every step forward, in the hope that others will recognize our hard work and applaud our efforts. However, this urge to perform for an audience can lead to distraction. The more you broadcast your every move, the more you start performing, and performance, no matter how well-intentioned, can detract from the true purpose of your work. It pulls you away from your original mission and gets you focused on the wrong things. Instead of growth, it can lead to superficial validation. Instead of progress, it can become a cycle of proving, not improving. This is where silence becomes an incredibly powerful tool. Because when you stay silent, you remain focused on what truly matters. Silence doesn't mean hiding away or avoiding all social interaction. It means being selective about what you share, being conscious of when and why you choose to let the world in. When you're working quietly, without the constant need to let others know what you're doing, you stay grounded. Your connection to your why, the reason behind your actions, remains strong and unshaken by outside distractions. You keep your eyes on the mission, not the applause, and that allows you to stay humble, focused, and committed to what really matters. In this silence, there is space to grow and improve without the noise of external opinions, which often cloud judgment and create unnecessary pressure. The truth is, when you're constantly broadcasting your progress to the world, you can easily become attached to the external validation. Likes, comments, shares. These may feel good in the moment, but they don't move you closer to your goal. Validation is not progress. It's merely a temporary boost to your ego. The danger of seeking constant validation is that it shifts your attention away from what truly matters, the work itself. If you're performing for an audience, you may find yourself focusing more on what people think of your efforts than on the results you are working toward. The work becomes secondary to the performance, and this can be detrimental to your long-term growth. Silence, on the other hand, keeps you humble. It reminds you that you don't need to be seen every day to be making progress. You don't need to share every accomplishment, every moment of improvement. You just need to get better each day. Progress isn't about showing others how far you've come. It's about pushing yourself forward, even when no one else is watching. It's about staying connected to the bigger vision, not seeking recognition for each small step. In this space of humility, you learn that the real work happens in the quiet moments, in the times when you're not seeking validation or approval from others. It's where the most important growth takes place, where you refine your craft, deepen your commitment, and strengthen your resilience. The process of working in silence helps you stay hungry. When you're not constantly pausing to seek validation, you don't get satisfied by applause. You stay driven, always striving for more. The absence of external recognition forces you to rely on your internal drive. The hunger to improve comes from within. And that's what keeps you moving forward, even when the results aren't immediate or the recognition is delayed. You're not working for the praise. You're working because you know your potential and you're willing to keep going regardless of who's watching. Humility also plays a key role in this process. Silence forces you to stay grounded. When you're not seeking attention, you remain in touch with the reality of where you are in the journey. You don't get distracted by comparing yourself to others or getting caught up in a race to be recognized. You stay focused on your growth, recognizing that the true value of your work is not in the applause, but in its impact. Staying humble means recognizing that no matter how far you've come, there's always room for improvement. It keeps you grounded in the truth that success is not a destination, but a continuous process of evolution. Let's consider a simple but powerful example to illustrate this point. Think of an athlete, say a runner, training for a marathon. Imagine that every time this runner improves their time or hits a personal best, they stop to post about it on social media, telling everyone about their achievement. They seek validation from friends, followers, and fans after every successful training session. Eventually, this constant need for attention could distract them from the true goal, completing the marathon. They become more focused on sharing their progress with others than on actually improving their performance. Now imagine a different runner, one who keeps their progress to themselves. This runner doesn't feel the need to announce every small achievement. They simply focus on the work, day in and day out. They don't get distracted by who's watching or who's applauding. They know that each day of training is another step toward their goal, and they are committed to making progress in silence. As they continue to train, their time improves, their strength builds. When the day of the marathon finally comes, they are prepared, not because they sought validation at every turn, but because they stayed focused on the work. Their improvement speaks for itself, and when they cross the finish line, their results are far more impressive than anything they could have broadcasted along the way. This example highlights how silence keeps you connected to the true purpose of your work. By not performing for others, you stay grounded in the reason you started in the first place. You stay connected to your mission. You keep moving forward with the quiet determination that builds true success. The result, when it comes, will speak louder than any post, announcement, or boastful declaration. The moment you stop seeking applause is the moment you begin to make real progress. The key to staying hungry and humble is recognizing that your work is enough, even when no one else sees it. When you're not broadcasting every step, you allow the work itself to speak for you. You give it the space it needs to grow and develop, and in doing so, you preserve the energy and focus that will carry you across the finish line. Silence doesn't mean inactivity or stagnation. It means you're so deeply committed to the mission that you don't need anyone to cheer you on. Your hunger for improvement and your humility in the process will drive you forward. And when the time is right, the results will speak for themselves. So let the world sleep on you. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're quiet, passive, or average while you're out here becoming unstoppable. Because when the time is right, when your fruit is ripe, when your work is undeniable, the silence will break with a roar that nobody saw coming. Keep showing up, keep working, keep sharpening your sword in the dark, because the next time they hear your name, it won't be from your mouth. It'll be from your impact.